As I discussed earlier, hopefully you got a chance to download the special edition this morning. Michael Flynn has resigned, the Trump's first national security advisor. He resigned after only 24 days on the job as a result of communications, conversations that, well, let's say it is the belief that he discussed the Obama sanctions with the Russian ambassador prior to actually having the authority to do so. This was picked up in a communique by our intelligence agencies in this conversation, a phone call with the Russian ambassador. And we understand that the Russian, every embassy is hacked, or not hacked is the word I'm looking for, but tapped. And we hear all of their phone calls, and everyone knows this. And so it came to a shock to the intelligence community when, after the fact, Michael Flynn actually lied about whether or not the sanctions came up in the conversations with the Russian ambassador. So he has resigned, and we discussed it at length. If you want to get a full discussion on it, I want you to check out the episode from earlier today. But I think there's a couple of key takeaways, some things that I didn't discuss this morning that I want to discuss now. The first part of it is the nature of the leaks. There's a great article in The Intercept by Glenn Greenwald that discusses that the leaks themselves were illegal, but they were, according to the title, wholly justified. And I read the article, and it actually shines a light on the hypocrisy of both parties, of human beings in general, but not to be esoteric. Let's just be specific to this situation. People are so quick to flip on their principles. Or they're quick to not have principles and then pretend as though they have principles when it benefits them to do so. And this is the article that Greenwald essentially wrote, because some of the same people who are defending the leakers, and let's get specific, the Democratic Party, they're now defending whoever in the intelligence agencies or the higher ups of the military that actually, of the Pentagon, who leaked this information to the Washington Post. 9 officials actually commented on it, 9 sources that the Washington Post had. So there are quite a few people who are involved. And Democrats are rightfully so defending these leakers because General Michael Flynn lied to the United States. And because he very potentially could have been blackmailed by Russia because of the nature of the conversation. This, according to Sally Yates, the former acting attorney general who was fired by Donald Trump. She warned the Trump administration that this could happen, that this actually happened, and the severity of it, the potential violation of the Logan Act, as well as it making Michael Flynn vulnerable. They alarmed the White House over a month ago. Turns out the White House knew about it, but did not inform Mike Pence until 2 weeks after they found out about it. And so there are questions that still remain as far as how much did Trump know? What did Michael Flynn say on the conversation? And would he say anything without the authorization of Donald Trump? That's the real question that a lot of people want to know. And so the investigations are going to continue. But back to the Democratic Party now defending leaks. When just a few months ago, they were all up in arms. And of course, I'm talking, a few years ago, but as recently as Obama being in office, they were all up in arms attacking Edward Snowden for his leaks. And the article that he pointed out, the article that Greenwald wrote, actually focuses on the nature of the leaks, the illegality of the leaks, but the necessity of people being willing to break the law when they see it is in the best interest of not only the country, but their overall oath to protect and defend the Constitution from threats, domestic and foreign. And so we have a need for people of good conscience who are in these bureaucracies to be not only willing to break the law, but protect it when they do break the law, when they're sharing information that could benefit the United States, to protect the citizens, or expose corruption. And it makes sense. It's a consistent, it's a pretty easy principle to hold to if you're not suffocating or being suffocated by perverse not bipartisanship, but partisanship. If you're not just consumed with, this is my guy in office, and so I'm going to do whatever it takes to defend him. So now Democrats are defending leakers, and Republicans have gone back to attacking and wanting to know who it is. Donald Trump put out a tweet today asking whether or not if this is what it's going to be like going forward. You know, he said the real story is about the illegal leaks. Yes, they were illegal. But again, as Greenwald, and you should go over to Intercept and read it, but as Greenwald pointed out, that there are occasions when the law should be broken, and Michael Flynn's lying to the United States of America and potentially putting himself, I'm adding this part of my own commentary, but Michael Flynn putting himself potentially at risk of being blackmailed, all of that constitutes justification for breaking laws because it protects or it makes you accountable to the greater law, the Constitution. Here's the flip side of the conversation that I thought was interesting. That actually Brandon Sutton of what's the name of their show over there, Project Sanity. I don't really. I mean, sorry, Brandon, but you know you're always on the show with Anoa and stuff, so I couldn't remember the name. But anyway. That's not the point. The point is this. Brandon pointed out something that I thought I would bring to our attention tonight about WikiLeaks, because I was taken aback by WikiLeaks' tweet. And I'm going to look it up really quick because I want to make sure I say it very precisely. But this essence of what WikiLeaks tweeted earlier today was in defense of a tacit defense of Michael Flynn, but also dismissing this entire story as a means of protecting or attacking Trump and defending the Democratic Party. And I want to pull up the tweet because I wanted to say it a little more accurately than that. But the sentiment that Brandon pointed out, which I think it absolutely warrants us discussing, is that it wasn't WikiLeaks about radical transparency and, you know, not being concerned about the motives of a person who's leaking. You know, if you're about radical transparency and you're not concerned about the motivations of the person or the people who have done the leaks, then this should fall 100% in your worldview. And this should be absolutely something that you support. However, that's not the case. That's not the case with WikiLeaks, and it's almost well, here's a tweet. Okay, so they said Trump's national security advisor Michael Flynn resigns after destabilization campaign by U.S. spies, Democrats, and the press. Now, this take was almost as bad as Russia Today, RT's take, which said that basically General Flynn retired. That's just their take. This is interesting in terms of WikiLeaks because this tweet undermines their entire, I don't want to call it a facade, but at this point, really, this is a leak. This is a leak of information that shows corruption, that shows, even if you don't want to call it corruption, at a minimum, it shows that this high-ranking official, a national security advisor to the president of the United States, lied to America and subsequently caused or either was complicit with or co-conspirator with the vice president of the United States. I mean, this is the quintessential example of the types of leaks that WikiLeaks should be seeking out. And yet and still, this is their response. Trump's national security advisor, Michael Flynn, resigns after destabilization campaign by U.S. spies, Democrats, and the press. And the link goes directly to the statement from the White House, from the press secretary. I mean, which is it? Because this goes back to Greenwald's article. If you're for transparency and you're for protecting people who leak, whistleblowers, then you should have to be for transparency and people who leak, even when they leak something against people that you ostensibly like. Going back to the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party don't defend whistleblowers now when just last administration, you were all about prosecuting the hell out of Edward Snowden. See, people, when partisanship becomes the root of your political participation, you are incapable of being consistent. This is nothing new. This is not some radical observation, but you get tired of it. You get tired of seeing people have convenient amnesia and quickly turn to become another person. Let me cut myself off and give you another person. Not to be shocked or surprised. We see it all the time with the Republican Party, but U.S. Representative from Utah, Jason Chaffetz, all of a sudden he's rather satisfied that this story is complete and no longer needs investigation. However, he investigated Benghazi until the cows came home. I mean, he would investigate it still right now today if Hillary Clinton was president of the United States. Every day they would be talking about Benghazi, but with this clear this clear violation of, at a minimum, trust, right, between the president and his national security advisor. But if you take it any amount of reasonable speculation, it's more than a violation of trust. It's a violation of his duty and it was an overstep of his responsibilities, of his authority. He had no authority during that time to negotiate or speak on behalf of the United States when he was still a private citizen. But all of a sudden, here's the picture. Democrats want investigations. Democrats want whistleblowers to be protected, and Democrats are all about these leaks. WikiLeaks, who was about radical transparency, says that this is, I want to use their words exactly, this is Michael Flynn resigning after destabilization campaigns by U.S. spies, Democrats, and the press. But just last week, they were all about leaks. Send us the leaks. I wonder if they would have said the same exact thing had they been the ones who received the leak instead of the Washington Post. And then, of course, Republicans, who are all about investigating something until there's nothing left to investigate, all of a sudden they're completely satisfied with the results of the non-existent investigation. At some point, somebody, somewhere, has to bring some level of consistency to their approach. And even as I say it, it's wishful thinking to expect that of our elected officials.